Now passing objects. Okay, how do you pass an object of a class? Now let me take a class product. I'm going to take int id, comma price. Okay, and I'll have a default constructor where id will be equal to 10 and price will be equal to 100. Okay, this is my product class. I have another class, let us say. Now this class, we are not inheriting or something. We are just creating one function here. Let me take a function called as void display, in which I'm passing the product object. Okay, product object P. All I'll do is sys out ID in the same way. I think I had given ID only, right? So it cannot be just ID, it is P.ID because we are passing a product P inside class items display for a function called as display. In the same way, here I'm going to print name. This ID and, sorry, not name, this is price. ID and price are not part of your items display, it is part of the product class. Since you have created a product P object, this P will contain ID as well as it will contain price. Okay, you're displaying both. Now in the main class, how do I get it done? I have to take items display object. Okay, but before that, I have to pass product P. So I need to take one object of product as well. So product P is equal to new product. When you do this, automatically you will call the constructor. In the constructor, ID is 10, price is 100. So for this P, basically what happened, P dot ID will become 10, P dot price will be equal to 100. So when you send this P to display function, which is a part of items display, that means ID is the object. So what I should call id dot, if you notice there is all these functions which is available in which display product is the one. So this P, I'm going to pass it here. So what it should print? 10 and price to be 100. Let's see. Okay. What did you do right now? You passed, in this case, you passed the product as argument to the function or a method. Okay. Now, if I have to return one particular object, then what you will do? Return an object means if I'm returning in the last case, what did you have? If I had int add and let us say int a comma int b, if I had, and then I'm going to return a plus b. A plus b is what? When you add two integers, you're going to get an integer which you are returning back to the main function. Hence, your return type will be integer. But this time I want to return an object. Object of what? Person. And I'm going to pass also, in this I'll not pass anything. So what I'll do here, return object. So person object I'm going to return. That means I have to have a person object with me. So person P is equal to, you created a new person. Don't get confused with this P and the below one. What I can do is I'll make it as new P. Okay. Even if you give P, it is absolutely fine. I just didn't want you to get confused. Now new P dot ID, sorry, dot, why am I writing person? Sorry, it should be product. New P dot ID is equal to 55. I'll give new P dot price will be equal to this much. And I should return also. What should I return? Product. object. What is that product object? New P, which is of the type product. If I'm returning the product, I should store that product somewhere in this. So what I'll do, product return object is equal to, you are going to call ID because this function is a part of items display class. And we already have an object of items display, that is ID dot return object. Okay. Whatever they have written, they have written an object which is having ID 55, price 999. So if I print here sysout return ob dot ID, this should be giving me 55. Also, return ob dot price. Price, what we are returning? 4 times 9. Okay, let's see. So 55, 999. That is what it returned. So this is passing the object. This is returning an object. Passing the object, you are going to put the object in the parameter with its user-defined data type. That is nothing but a class. And when you're returning, you have a product, let us say, one object you have created for a particular class. That object you're going to return. Which class's object you have given here, right? That class should be here as well. What you're returning, that object's class should be the return type. Okay. When you're in the main function, when you're receiving that object, that return object should also be of the type product. Otherwise, there is a mismatch. Okay. So in one shot, if you want to see the code, this is the product. This is the items display. You created one product. You created one item display object. You called this display function, which is part of ID, and you passed P. P is nothing but the product. Due to our constructor, we had ID is equal to 10 and price is equal to 100, which you passed. And that did displayed. Now I wanted to call this one. Since it is returning a product-based object, I need to create one product-based return object in which you will take the handler object ID dot, you're going to call this return object function, which will in turn return a product that has ID 55, price 9999. So that is what we printed here because that will be stored in return object. Okay.